Deadbeat Boulevard is the 8th track on Frozen in Time and one of the most interesting and significant. It plays with point of view in a way that I haven't seen done before and changes the story into something entirely different. Of course, this is retconned in the last two songs and never brought up again, but that doesn't matter, right? Let's get into it. First off, let's define point of view and how it can change. Simply, it's just the way a narrative is presented to us. There's 3 different types, and they all have their uses with different narratives. The most common one is first person, where the main character is referred to as I or me. The second type is second person, where the main character is referred to as you. Second person doesn't really show up in anything besides choose your own adventure stories, but I still like it. And the final type is third person, where the main character is referred to by their name. Ace of Hearts songs tend to utilize the first two, but Deadbeat Boulevard does something really fascinating with it. It switches between points of view in order to gain different views on the story we've been seeing entirely from Ace's perspective up to this point. To discuss that more, let's look at the first lyrics.
Just to be what he needs.
This part is in second person and seems to be directed at the girlfriend, with the he being Ace. This gives us a different view on the relationship and shows how much Ace was at fault. We never really saw him portrayed in a negative light until now, which is why it's so shocking to hear these lyrics. It's a bit eye-opening too, having the listener realize that failing relationships aren't entirely one-sided, and more often than not, both parties will share the blame, and that's very true here. We've been given a bit of this in Find Me in Your Dreams, but this really doesn't pull any punches in condemning Ace. This directly tells us he was a liar and demanded more from his partner than he gave back. While it is foreshadowed in Find Me in Your Dreams, it really comes full force here. The second line,
Do you think that he'll be gone when the lights turn on?
Is most likely a direct reference to Lights Off, the first song in the album. Lights Off tells Ace's girlfriend to turn the lights off. Deadbeat Boulevard tells her to turn the lights back on. Then we get the smoothest POV change I have ever seen.
So you climbed into his bed, all because he said that could be what you're looking for, spending all my time on Deadbeat Boulevard.
This changes the point of view from third person to first person, making the narrator no longer an outside observer, but Ace himself. This line also reveals that he may have coerced his girlfriend into the relationship, trying to convince her that he's what she's looking for. One important thing to note about the chorus is that he does seem genuinely happy and excited singing it, possibly implying that he did believe what he was saying and wasn't trying to manipulate her, which is more true to life.
Do you think that he'll return since you never learned?
Follows up on the previous line, now showing that Ace has indeed left and might not return. This is really important since it shows the current Ace looking back, fully realizing his mistakes, and accepting that he would have left.
So you find yourself within just to let him in again.
Could be indicating that Ace's girlfriend made allowances for him that he didn't deserve, which for someone as hot as Jacob, it's not hard to believe. After that, it's time for the chorus, but this time something's different. There's no progression between second person and first person, instead just immediately switching. This could be showing that Ace has become the third person character and is actually starting to gain some perspective and realize his role in the relationship failing, and that he's not entirely the victim. Conversely, it could show Ace falling back into his old self and failing to grow more. Of course, this is entirely dropped for the last two songs, and we never see him in this mindset again, so who really knows? Deadbeat Boulevard is one of the most important songs on this album, and it really breaks down these characters into more fleshed out people. By full force condemning Ace, it makes him and the listener realize that he's a lot less of a victim than we thought. His actions are just catching up to him now. Ace, being the narrator and the main character, is able to control the story and manipulate it to make himself seem as sympathetic as possible, and that's incredibly important to realize. Once we understand the bias in a story, we can understand it better and see the whole picture. Well, that's all I have for you today. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next whenever to talk about whatever.